Alright, hello, welcome. My name's Frank. This is No More Paper. #1 show right now on everything. If you're listening in the future, I'm trying to build a community so that I may become a better trader, not to sell anything. Alright, as I go live, not as I go live, 15 minutes ago, ADP released some information. Let's take a look at that. Again, it shows employment's up. Again, that would most likely be considered bad for markets. Because if employment is solid, the Fed can't make any excuse to cut. You know, if inflation was up, but jobs were very, very bad, if unemployment was very, very high, well, then they could say, yeah, I know we shouldn't cut, but people need jobs, blah, blah, blah. But essentially, all the data is taking away any excuse they have to cut. Good or bad, doesn't matter, that's what it is. Later on today, 9:45, we got PMI, 9:45 Eastern Time. Other than that, nothing for the US. Later on this week, tomorrow, we have new home sales at 10 a.m.
Look at Super Trend.
That's about it. Yeah, pretty quiet week. So it's interesting that we tend to head lower. All right, that trade worked out. Perhaps I'll show that as a trade right now that I just made right before we went on. Quick little scalp. So after the ADP news at 8:15, well, we were heading down before that. I don't know if that news really affected the markets much. But as you can see, we were heading down and lower with increasing volume. I've yet to really work out. So up-down volume difference bars. I assume that just takes a count of the ticks, the up and down ticks, finds the difference and prints it. But it's very strange because how can a candle have more up ticks than down ticks and still be in the red? I mean, I don't know, maybe there's more than I see here. But all I noticed was basically more increasing volume as we headed lower. So when we halted for a bit and went up a little, I shorted again. Also knowing that we did not yet hit, this is just a bounce off of super trend, but we did not yet hit the key area that we hit earlier, which the top of it starts at 74.29 and the bottom is 74.24. You can see this area right here. There's the top. Just pretend I'm doing rays. There's the bottom. This area of resistance. I don't know. I was a bit bullish after we bounced off of 50 SMA. But now, things look pretty bad. I think we're going to fall below the 50 SMA, which I have marked on here. Today it's at 74.24. We'll see. This is now almost the third hit. I don't know if this one counts. I think regardless, I'm going to take one contract long. Full disclosure, this is a sim account. I also have longer term trades in my real money account. I'm not allowing myself to go back to cash yet with my actual futures account. I still do a couple contracts in my investment account just on the side. That's more swing than anything. But I'm not allowing myself to go back to cash until I can prove a reliable system. Earlier this year, I was doing wonderful. Late last year and earlier this year. I don't know what happened. I'm still figuring that out. Could it have been luck for 6 months? I don't know. I think part of it is switching. I switched to Sierra charts because I know that if I want to continue seriously in this career, I need a real platform. TradingView is nice for weekend traders or investments, but it's not, the data is just skewed. It's messed up. And there's not a lot of customization if I want to build serious strategies. I need something like MetaTrader or Sierra charts. I chose Sierra charts. What's another one? Quant Towers. That's not as serious as the other two. And look, we continue to see volume going up. Yeah, we'll see what happens. Just my opinion, I think it's kind of rare that the market would break lower before the open. So what we might get here is just a small bounce up to point of control again. It's not that small, it's 15 points. If that's the case, I'm going to do let's do, it's like a 1 to 1.5 risk to reward. Perhaps I should consider, we'll see. Alright, let's go back to some news for a bit. Take a look at the headlines, see what lies they're telling us. Nasdaq plunges in roaring tech rout. Faith in the AI trend continues to fade. Okay, here's some acknowledgement of the dollar rising. I'm yet to figure out exactly why the dollar is going up so much. I think it might have something to do with Japan. But I'll have to figure that out later. I'm not real good with that yet. That's just insane. I think Wimbledon's tennis. Wimbledon investors cash in with VIP seats costing over $500,000. You're gonna go watch tennis for $500,000. That's just disgusting. I think some Super Bowl seats were going for something like that too. That's just insane. Some people would die for that amount of money. And I'm just going to go watch a tennis tournament. Spend my entire retirement. Ooh, Oracle's suffering more. Oracle cuts 21,000 jobs as it prepares a 50 billion AI build-out. That's its excuse. It's cutting jobs because it's bleeding money and it's not gaining it back. Even in an era of endless printed money, these companies are failing. Just think how hard this market's going to crash when it does. Trump signs orders to drive quantum. Okay, they're already starting a pivot. That's going to be the pivot. As AI crashes more and more, you're going to get quantum this, quantum that. I've already done some research on what companies are most poised for quantum computing. I bet you Nvidia is going to start talking about it more and more. That puppet that they show all the time, the guy with the soulless eyes. He probably beats helpless puppies in his spare time. All right, what else we have here? Oh, that's fantastic. Your 401k match might not be as generous as it used to be. So first they're going to force you to buy in on the SpaceX IPO. And then they're going to say, you know what? Because we're losing so much money because we're foolish and stupid, we're not going to match your 401k because the CEOs, they need that $50 million bonus. Or they're just not going to be able to afford Wimbledon. Can you imagine what it would be like if nobody's watching tennis? Now, don't get it wrong, I'm not against the rich. I don't think we should tax the rich. But when all sides are going after the middle class, what do? The solution's not simple. And the only thing you're going to hear from politicians, mostly on the left, but the right does it too, is one-liner solutions, such as tax the rich or tariffs or whatever. I don't know if the right has clear messaging. Probably because a good amount of the right, maybe not the ones in actual power, but the voices of the right know that such a problem, it needs 1,000 solutions. But where to start? I'm not going to pretend like I know. All I know is that I don't know and that it's complicated. And taxing the rich hasn't worked in the past, it made things worse. Why do you think you get rich people saying tax the rich? It's kind of funny how that works. Alright, I had to flatten that trade. I think it's going to hold up at the point of control. Alright, any other articles I care about? Salesforce is getting worse. I don't know why they keep talking to this guy. Him and Kathy Woods. I don't get it. It's like once you're past this, I mean, that's one of the problems. Is once you're past a certain point, you either got to get so many levels in notoriety, or you got to be cued in with the right people in the media. You can fail 100 times and you just keep failing up. A lot of times you can commit crimes and you still keep failing up. Part of that issue would be there's no repercussions. There's no justice. Used to be part of what our government does. But the left only goes after who they want, and the right goes after nobody. Which did not used to be the way it was. All right, I'm done with news. Let's take a quick look at the essentials. VIX continues to stay elevated. It was trending lower for a bit. But I mean, look at that gap up. Now, if you subscribe to the fill the gap belief, I don't think it works for VIX, but I don't know. At some point we're going to fill this gap. Get a little recovery. Will it be here? I don't know. I hope so. I put a little bet on it. Long term. Dollar continues to stay elevated. Last time we were this high was a year ago. Could it be seasonal? I don't know. We are heading into the slowest part of the year for the market. Yields are calming down a bit after yesterday. $30 still sitting below 5. We'll see what happens. It looks like last week government printed more money. That could fuel a recovery. Could. We'll see. It could also mean people use that to buy safer assets. I'm curious as to how gold's been doing. Gold's lower. Oil's much lower. That's interesting. It's been a while since I looked at the Russell. Not doing near as bad as the ES and the NQ. Same thing with the Dow. They're not really correlated much anymore. Wait, no, this is the wrong. There we go. Not doing too great. ES is doing worse, I think. So the continuous doesn't, a little misleading. In the actual contract, we're touching 50 SMA. Alright, it's been a while since I used TradingView and had it set up properly. I'm going to work on converting TradingView to just stocks for everything I need for stocks, all the tools. Might be time to build a new range soon. I'd like to be able to just remove these. So right here, DMI. I use this often. You see the red line above the green, and if it's heading up especially, I tend to not buy too many pullbacks. Like a month ago, everything was just buy every pullback and you're going to win, because we were that bullish. Once I start seeing this, I don't do that as much, unless we're at major areas, which I would say the 50 SMA is a major area. All this in just the overnight. And look at the profile, how it's shaped. At first I saw that and I thought, oh, that's a lot of buying. It's a lot of people loading up. We'll see. The VIX kind of tells a different story. All right, let's zoom in a bit. Here you get a good representation of just how much selling there was last night. Again, I often say it, sometimes you'll get the big players taking advantage of low volume overnight to move the market the direction they want. Kind of like they're thinking, oh, we're already this far low. Why don't we take it all the way to the 50 SMA and we can load up. It's not like, you can't think of it like they're all working in unison. They're not all on the phone with each other saying, hey, what are you doing? But just like a herd tends to follow the largest animals in the herd. It's kind of what money does. Now we'll see what happens. Yesterday was an interesting day. We started elevated after the overnight recovered quite a bit. Then at 10:10 we had a huge sell-off. When I see this, I am already in a better mood. And it's not just because I have some shorts that need to play out. Because it's a sign that when we get to the bottom, I can buy up for the rise to the top. Just natural. At the top, you don't want to make large moves. For the rest of the day, then, we consolidated. It was a great time for scalping. But it was such a very tight consolidation. We didn't even get to the value areas. Made a couple of small hits. And as soon as the overnight opened, we started dropping. Made one, I should have seen this, but I was busy. Made one attempt at the open and then kept falling ever since. I had an old area marked on here, which is still somewhat reliable, 74.30. Our initial jump into this area, our initial range here, the value area low was right in this 74.30, and that's right where we halted. Now, going into the open, I don't know what's going to happen. I'm going to wait. I'm going to wait and see for any scalping. I do see us going higher, but I don't see us maintaining the same type of momentum that we had a month ago, where we were able to go to all-time new highs after every pullback. Now, just the fact that we did not make all-time new highs after, when was that? After the first bounce off the 50. That is definitely a bearish sign, and that was before FOMC. It boils down to these tech companies need lots of cheap cash to burn for research and development. If they don't have that, they can't continue to fuel the hype. And on top of that, the hype now is far beyond the capabilities. They're hyping up a bag of garbage, an expensive bag of garbage that no consumers want. Their best bet is to sell to the government, which at some point the government's going to realize it doesn't. The government's a little bit slower than consumers. and realizing trash. The LLM industry should have been about the size of the marijuana industry, and that's it. But they needed something to keep the giants going. If we do head higher, where will we stop? I have this was a previous initial balance high. I think that's from a long time ago. Actually, I'm not sure that should be marked. No, ignore that. I have previous day's low marked as in the overnight. It acted as support and resistance. Very clean moves on it. Above that, yesterday's value area high, which remains untouched at 75.53. If we do head lower, I think if we end up breaking, I don't know, I don't want to speak too soon. At the open, we might immediately fall. Yeah, I don't know how important the initial balance high is. This is a very old initial balance high. Not very old, a couple weeks. And then we also have a value area low for one of our ranges. 73.90. So we might go down to this area here. And then bounce higher. But if we break that, we're in for a ride. But that's all I got. Good luck, goodbye.